and I need to acknowledge Dr. Manik Hiranandani, and good to see you here, boss. Dr. Manik, good to see you here. There are two parents which have already joined. One is Venugopal ji and Pawan. Venugopal, if you can take up and brief what you can always, so that I want everyone to get involved. Welcome, Amitabh Banerjee.
Yeah. Sure, sir. Actually, thanks for this opportunity and for this August gathering. Firstly, I'm here because I lost my daughter for this wretched vaccination. I was a blissfully ignorant parent before this, before June 8th, when we did this vaccination for my daughter. Not even June 8th, till June 18th, when the symptoms started. I never suspected vaccine for anything. Like I was only happy that they were giving vaccine for everybody. I was praising the government like everybody else. I was kind of rushing through the COVID portal, registering, running here, running there, where vaccine is available, and rushing to get it. And all that tamasha was going on completely because we were all thinking it is protecting us. So we were, and in fact, myself and my wife had taken in April the shots, first shot. And now later I realized it is impacting. Actually, right now I'm suffering from Graves' disease. My eyes are a little bulging. I don't know if you can see it, like my left eye especially. Like Graves' disease, I have hyperthyroidism. All this was diagnosed in June. And when incidentally my daughter was already jabbed. So this autoimmune reaction is also a cause, is also caused by this vaccine, actually. And what I have come to understand after this episode is basically the vaccines are causing a wide range of autoimmune reactions at different points of time. It's not just for some it hits immediately, for some it just lies low and hits whenever it places. And this spike protein itself is a pathogen which strikes at will through blood clots or through allergen and this autoimmune reactions. It is striking at will at whatever time it chooses. So that is what is happening. Anyway, let me not digress. You're all experts here. I shouldn't be kind of even mentioning this. You all know that. Like that is basically what happened in my daughter's case. Was like she took the jab on June 8th, and on that day she had a very mild fever, if at all. And then next day she was interning with Goldman Sachs. She was doing a 4th year MSc data science with PSC Institute of Technology here, and she was in an internship program with Goldman Sachs Bangalore, and she was working remotely from Coimbatore. So she said I would continue to work. I mean, I'm just perfectly fine. And 9th she worked. Sorry, ma'am.
Please continue. I think.
Please go ahead, sir. I think it was
okay.
mic was muted.
Yeah. Okay. So then she just worked, and after a week, she started getting a mild throat pain. And exactly on the 10th day, she gargled. 10th day she woke up. 9th day evening she had a throat pain and other thing. She went to bed with some complaints. And 10th day she woke up with severe problems. Severe in the sense like she just couldn't walk. She was moving her legs as a 90-year-old would move, just inch by inch by inch. Her legs were very immobile, and her body was aching. Throat was completely gone. She couldn't speak. She couldn't swallow. She couldn't, and she was just. Sorry, I had a call. Actually, my PC's camera didn't work, so I had to connect from mobile. That's why there are two connections. So then on 10th, and she had high temperature. So the first thing that crossed our mind was whether it would be kind of corona, like whether it's COVID. So for one day we gave her usual home medication, made her gargle, and then gave her paracetamol and thought whether that would go away. Nothing was happening. Next day on Saturday we took her to a nearby lab and got her COVID RT-PCR tested. It came negative by afternoon. We were happy, but health-wise no improvement. So Sunday we took her to the hospital, nearby hospital, and the doctor said throat is heavily inflamed. She's not to be given any solid food, and he gave a lot of similar medicines only, erythromycin, paracetamol, all these things in liquid form, and advised her to take all this and liquid diet. And come back after 2 days. No improvement. So Monday we took her and admitted her immediately in the same hospital. And the doctor said, let me double check the corona test, COVID test. Maybe they didn't take the sample properly. So he once again took a swab test. That too came negative. And then unfortunately, the doctors do not connect any of this. We told them about the vaccination 10 days back. They don't connect it. They said 10 days, unlikely. And even if it is, they don't really give it any credence. And then the next thing is they don't know any protocol. Like, see, this is such a thing is possible. And I really believe today, if they had started her on steroids immediately, she could have been saved. The inflammation was so high, but instead he said steroids as a last resort. And steroid for a common layman is frightening, actually. So steroid, oh my God. I mean, we were worried actually, but as a doctor, he was supposed to guide us, like telling us that steroids is the only way for this. Your daughter is in a serious soup now, and that's the only thing that will bring her out. They didn't do that. They just sent her through, the blood sample, and the blood test from the very first day, D dimers were way high, 20 times the normal levels. And D dimer and other immunomarkers, everything was CRP, everything was very, very high, the blood test results. So these things should have alarmed, and they should have been put in, different treatment course should have been started. It didn't happen. 3 days we kept her in that hospital. 4th day we shifted her to a medical college hospital here called PSG Hospital. I mean, the same group has a medical college and a hospital also. So we moved her there under the care of one Dr. Murali. He also told on first look, he said, like, nothing to worry, don't worry, we'll take care. And he admitted. He was also clueless, and we learned it very late. Only we kind of admitted her on 24th of June, and only on 4th July they started her on steroids. 4th July, steroids and anticoagulants. Till then, at the day of her admission, they gave her some NSAID, which immediately gave her improvement. We were very happy. Oh, we came to the right hospital, everything. But that was just like a pain reliever kind of a thing. It just gave her temporary relief, apparently. The moment the dosage wanes, she had problem again. And a lot of diagnostics were done, lots of diagnostics, right? I mean, we CT scan and a blood test, of course, on every day or alternate days, almost every day. And then we also did a PET scan, PET scan was advised. That was done on 3rd, I think. And so like a whole lot of things were done. The body was very weak by the time. I mean, bottle paracetamol was going into the body, because the moment paracetamol stops, fever comes up. So she was continuously on paracetamol as a primary medication on all these days. And finally, on 6th the night, she had a little bit of shivers and chills. So 7th, doctor said, no, let's start IVIG. So she was started on that, immunoglobulins. And as soon as that immunoglobulins, one bottle was in, she kind of BP dropped and O2 dropped. She had to be rushed into the ICU on that day. And
don't worry, sir.
And she wouldn't recover much after that. Only small signs of improvement after it. Nothing major improvement. And on 10th we lost her. 10th of July we lost.
Venugopal.
Hold on, Venugopal.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Have you tried talking to the same group of hospitals again, telling them this was an avoidable thing? Did you?
Yeah, I wrote a long mail actually. On 16th, I wrote a mail copying the dean and everybody. They kind of, the saddest thing was that treating doctor who was there for 3 weeks, when Dr. Murali, he never even said a formal sorry after she passed away. Not that will bring my daughter back, but he was completely incommunicado. He just didn't send a message, didn't speak, and nothing happened. I was just made to wait there, finish the formalities and bring her back home. for the last rites, and we never got into touch with the doctor at all. And I was furious after things settled down. After a week, I wrote a very long mail in which I narrated the incident. You gave us hope when we came in, and this is the kind of treatment, everything happened. And then finally, you didn't even have the courtesy to just say a formal sorry. I tried my best. What kind of treatment is this? Kind of, I sent a mail. To which he replied, I'm also a father, I understand, blah, blah, and sorry, kind of thing for this loss. But we did whatever was the protocol and the procedure, and we couldn't say. So that was...
Venugopalanji, did you try to check into AEFI or some other thing? Did you try anything like that?
That was a separate process in itself. Like when she was being treated in the local hospital itself, because I knew it was vaccine induced, I tried reaching Serum Institute. Directly, I called their pharmacovigilance line. I said, see, this vaccine, my daughter took Covishield and she's having this problem. So can you please guide what is the right treatment? Like, because you guys must be knowing, like, because people, that was my thought. My thought was not to kind of rake up an issue or something, because they are the manufacturers. They must be knowing, like, in case some rare cases are there, like maybe somebody, they know what kind of treatment should be given to cure. So I asked for that, but they were very bureaucratic. They sent one form to be written and filled up and all that stuff. And I could see that they are simply doing a paperwork and not really going to help my daughter. So I didn't pursue that at the time. But then after my daughter died, I again picked the thread. I wrote back in the same mail. I said, like, she is no more, and this is the thing. Please register this, and so please do whatever you can do to stop further deaths. I don't want to see any of this more. Please do whatever you can, kind of. I sent a mail. And that also took us nowhere much. I mean, they gathered all the details and sent a bureaucratic reply saying, COVID is known to cause MIS, but not COVID vaccine, as per the literature so far. I mean, they kind of washed their hands away. Then somehow I got in touch with one Dr. Arun Padmanandan, who is the kind of coordinating, zonal coordination person for AEFI in Southern Zone. So he was empathetic and he kind of listened, and I sent all the details to him, and he kind of ensured that it went through the AEFI process. It was very difficult. In other words, it was very difficult to get this case registered in AEFI and get it processed. It is not an easy process. It's not even known, like, to people how to do it. Like, at least I didn't. I mean, they said I have to go to the district immunization officer. I don't know where he sits. And here we are grieving in the house, and people are there, and relatives are coming and going. Who would go to a district immunization officer to register? And nobody from the government side would come and inquire or talk also. And the hospital didn't lift a little finger just to, I mean, they should have kind of known this is a vaccine thing. And as a public conscious institution, they should have taken the step to kind of propagate it sufficiently in the system so that further deaths are avoided. They didn't do anything also. So overall, it's very sorry state of affairs on that front.
Yeah, Vivek, I was, in fact, I can always tell you this is the plight of, I was quite sure when I started working on autism 15, 20 years back, there were no systems here. In fact, when I used to ask pediatrician, what is this adverse kind of reporting system? They said, no, nothing is of that sort is here. So Venugopalanji, we'll come back to you later. We want, because this is one thing which we always, I had spoken to you earlier also, Vivek wants to talk to you something. Please, Vivek.
Yeah, so Venugopal, I think we will get back to you. I don't know whether when we have our discussion, whether you will be there or not. I am okay with either. But let me tell you that we have to do something in a very systematic manner. Otherwise, nothing gets done. And I'll tell you what I mean by systematic manner. And also tell you that I understand your pain, because I went through a very, very close experience with my own daughter, knowing very well. And I said, and she's in her 30s, that she's got the COVID. She's recently recovered. Her antibody levels, she's donated 5 times for the plasma. But the company insisted that she takes the vaccine because multinational, they said without that. And she says, Papa, I don't care. I'll suffer. I'll do. I can tell you that one, the smart thing I did was, I made sure that nobody else handled her. I said, I am anticipating this reactions, as I can totally understand what you went through. And I said, you're not moving anywhere. You're not going to any hospital. I will handle you. I don't want to brag about it, but I know it can be handled. But my first thing is I cannot fight that system which forces you or mandates you and then tries to do that, whereas the law doesn't have all that. So we will get into all this where to go systematically. The moment we divert, we get blocked. I've already been blocked in many courses. I think Abhinav is also here. I saw Abhinav's name. I've been following his YouTube, DY Patil, Dr. Abhinav. I think I saw you in Amitabh. Sorry, I'm not Abhinav. Amitabh. Sorry, Amitabh. Brilliant, sir. I've been following all your video and I know how difficult it is to fight. I know how they try to shut you up. We are not all Robert Melonis, but at every level we get harassed, but we have to be smart. This is the time to be smart and fight. We can't bring back Venugopal, your daughter, but I can tell you this: you're not the only one who's gone through this. And this one thing is, it is the fiduciary duty, legal duty of the doctor to report. And don't let them. I'm a doctor myself. I know sometimes we face legal, but we cannot let them go easily because they are supposed to report. Even if they say it's, let them say related to vaccine, not related to vaccine. Possible there are yellow cards. There's a whole system, and a doctor cannot say that we don't know the system. And you have to, at some point of time, I'm sorry to say this, it may be painful, but the legal approach, or at least a quasi-legal approach, is the only thing that will work. So I don't know. So of course, we'll discuss the medical part, we'll discuss the issue. I don't know how the moderator is going to do this, but I am going to take this up on a war front. I promise you, if not Enrique, my personal promise to Venugopal. And we will have to create a system for people like you. We have to create a system for people like you that has to make it smooth. Yes, we will get persecuted. But when I see Amitabh Banerjee in a job, in a medical college, willing to stick his neck out, I think that inspires all of us also to be able to do that. So moderator, please decide the process of discussion.
Vivek, you are absolutely right on. I've been following Amitabh ji, and hats off to him. Last in one of his things, he was telling, "I feel like I retire from this particular stuff." Without taking much time, I just want to introduce Mr. Pawan here. Pawan lost her daughter, Ritika, and Pawanji, I think you are on mute. Please unmute yourself and start, please. I happened to one of the last meetings. Ritika's mom was there. I was told that she's not doing well now. Please, Pawan, you have to say something to our doctors and all that. I know it was a very tough task. There's still very challenging things you have gone through.
Yeah, it is pretty similar to what Govindan's daughter has gone through. So my daughter also, she took vaccination on May 29th of 2021. And then as usual, we all had fever for 2 days. She also had that fever. And then she got over that fever and she was fine for 3 or 4 days. She started having the itching and burning sensation in the hand, itching and burning sensation. And that day we were like, cleaning up all the stuff, some of our old albums and all those things. We thought like, this could be some dust allergy or something. So we contacted Apollo hospitals and they gave her Avil. They said it's just some itching, take Avil, and if it doesn't subside in a couple of days, go for a blood test. So we went for a blood test and the lab guys called us and alarmingly reported that, why are you doing this blood test? He said, what is your problem? Just give me the report. They said, no, we cannot give the report because the platelet levels are very low. Tell us the reason why you are getting this blood test. And that alarmed us. And then we called the doctor, Dr. Anish Anand from Apollo. We told him everything, what happened. We gave him all the history. I even have the chat history. And we told him about the vaccine also. He didn't actually pay any attention to the vaccine part. It says, okay, that's like normal. And he checked the platelet levels. And he said that's quite normal to have like 30,000-40,000 platelet levels when you have viral fever, it will be okay. And he made a video call. He denied the personal, because of COVID thing, personal appointment was not available. And on the video, he saw my daughter and he talked to her and he said, she looks fine, nothing to worry. And she'll be fine. Even if when it goes below 20,000 platelet, we will check tomorrow. And if it goes below 20,000, you can get her admitted. But that same day, she was still having slight headaches. The worst part is she didn't have too much pain to complain. That's why we couldn't rush to hospital. And suddenly that evening, 11 o'clock, the doctor saw, and in the evening around like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, she started throwing up. She continuously threw up for 5 times, and she started limping on her left leg, and which kind of made us like alarming. And we saw some small patches on her face. And then our uncle, who is a doctor, he checked and he said, if she vomits so many times, you just have to go to emergency. And then we took her to emergency. She was fine. She even, I wanted to carry her on my back from upstairs to down. She said, no, I will walk. So she walked down with me with help, and she came into the car. She even walked out of the car until we got the wheelchair. She was that much okay, but still the reaction was going on. And once we went there, they said, we just have to put her in COVID ward. It is COVID. We said, let us test. So we tested for COVID, and results took like 2 hours, and COVID came negative. So they couldn't figure out what it is. And they asked for MRI. So we were trying to do MRI, and as she was not able to take that MRI machine sound and all. So the operator said, there is some problem already in the head. I can see, I cannot conclude, but the test was not concluded, but he said there is some problem and we need to find out, maybe get her admitted. And then we called that doctor again, Dr. Anish Anand. Then looks like maybe he just realized what happened or something. He just said, I'm on leave, and just take her to a neurology department. And that's when we were thrown into neurology department. And the neurologists acted quickly, and they said, there is blood clots in brain, and they did a quick CT scan. And they were planning to make, small incision and remove the blood clots or something, and they were preparing for operation, surgery. And just while doing that, I saw she got like big, seizures. She started getting, all her hands started curling down, and that's it. That's the last time she was a little bit conscious with us. And as soon as, but luckily they were able to control the seizures by sedating her and took her to operation theater. We don't even know what operation they were doing. After that, we never was able to talk to her. She went into coma after they did the craniotomy, took her half of the skull. And after that, just because of her age, they gave her more time, like 4 or 5 days. And I was there in the hospital all the time. And during the 5th day again, they called me suddenly asking, like, they need to do another CT scan because her brain got another shock. So they need to do a CT scan. And that time I went to see her to sign for the CT scan. And that time itself, I saw her like quite different from the last 4 days. In last 4 days, she was responding in the sense like she was just lifting her leg. And the doctor said that response was not good. She really need to fold her leg or fold her arm. But she was just twisting like this. And that day onwards, the 5th day onwards, even that twisting was not there. And they did the CT scan, and the next day they announced her brain dead. And after announcing brain dead, I actually tried so many other things. I contacted somebody in Delhi who claimed that they can bring back brain dead. So I made arrangements to do the gene therapy. Even for gene therapy, they asked us to kind of brain scans to make sure that there is some blood supply to the brain. And in that scans, they figured out that there was zero blood supply beyond the neck part. And he said, we can come and try, but there is no guarantees. And even the ICU doctor said at that point, maybe it is not ethical, and we just have to give up. And then we decided to donate her organs because, we thought at least she will have some life after that. That organ donations thing actually triggered the government officials, forced them to do the AEFI because, the organ donation, the receiving hospital insisted on doing the AEFI. So I think they did. At that point, I didn't even know what AEF and all that. Somebody called me and interviewed me about what happened, and they said they are government officials and they're filing something. And then that AEFI actually triggered autopsy. This all happened automatically. I didn't know anything. And then autopsy from Osmani Hospital, doctor came. It was called delivery of the body was delayed, and autopsy was done. Actually, they wanted us to take her to Usmani Hospital to do the autopsy. That was the worst part, and I said, okay, then I'm canceling all the organ donation if you are doing like that. Then the doctor was sent here to do the autopsy. Those two events, that autopsy and the AFI, is actually something that automatically happened, is what made Ritu's case more visible and visible to Central Committee. And otherwise, that Ritu's case would have just gone in the drain like any other case. Without unintentionally, it was everything happened the right way, even though it was unfortunate. And the worst part is, from the day one, I have seen all the reports, hospital reports, and every page they had AEFI question mark. They didn't want to put AEF, sorry, not AEFI, what is it? VITT. VITT question mark. They don't want to put VITT because they'll get in trouble. So they put question mark in every page, every report, it is there. And while talking to us, they have been telling a lot of nonsense, like, does she take hormones? Did she attempt suicide? All kinds of crazy questions. And they never discussed anything about. Some doctors were honest, and I talked to them. They said it's kind of like COVID. When it comes like a terrific reaction. Even all the doctors are present. Even if you had brought her even one day before, you couldn't have done anything. There is no antidote. At the time when they said antidote, I did not realize that it was a reaction. So finally, we tried Ayurveda after that. Nothing happened, and we brought her back and finished all the rituals. But after that, only some of my friends in Bangalore, they talked to me about AEFI, and then I went on asking to the health department, asking to file it, and then only I realized that they already filed, and they were hiding all the information. It was a big hassle for me to get those details. It took months. I did 3 to 4 RTIs with escalations and visited that office, and finally I went and sat in that office and almost fought with that officer to get one part of that report, the CRF they gave me, and the investigation report I'm still following up. It's all horrible. More than the loss of my daughter, fighting with this system made me, made my troubles much worse. And the worst part is these doctors, they don't tell even if they know, and they act. I don't know if they don't know or if they act innocent. That Anish Anand guy who first saw my daughter, he ignored that vaccination thing when we were talking to her. We asked him for a callback number. If in case if there is any emergency to call back, he said during COVID times, they will not give the number. And after all this happened, he just escaped, saying he's in vacation and, throwing us into neurology. And then within a week, like 5 days after all this, after my daughter passed away, I was looking at Deccan Chronicle, and this guy goes on newspaper and he announces on the newspaper saying that, vaccination is very safe for all pregnant women and all pregnant women should take. And he already forgot just a week before his patient died with a VITT, and he doesn't care. Such is the attitude of the medical professionals, some of them. It's very bad.
How old was Ritu? What was her age?
She was 18. She turned 18 in February, and all her friends, some of her friends who are younger than her, got vaccination, and so she was excited and she wanted to take vaccine. She got an admission into college here in Hyderabad as well as in USA, and we wanted her to go to USA. She was not clear. She was deciding, and I wanted to travel early and take vaccine there. instead of here. But she said, okay, all my friends are taking here, and she went and took along with her mom. Actually, another thing I wanted to mention, after all these things happened, and when I talked to my friend who told me about AEFI, he also mentioned, because you both are parents, you will have similar gene. You should also go check your D-dimer levels. So I checked. By the time it was already 2 months, I took vaccine, and Rachna just was like 2 weeks. And Rachna's D-dimer levels were 900 or 1000. It's supposed to be into 50. It was not that high, but it was high. It actually impacted her too. Unfortunately, nothing happened to her. But Ritu's D-dimer levels were so high. I was shocked when I looked at her reports. It was 16,000. It was, they all knew from the day one, and they never told us in the hospital. And, when I was taking all these records from the record room, that record room guy was telling, sir, we gave vaccinations to lakhs of people, and, nothing happened to anybody like this. It's all not related to vaccine, something like that. I told it's your duty is just to give the records. You don't have to tell all those things. Now I want to go back and, show my AFI reports on his face. People have such attitude everywhere.
I can see Saraswati's hand is up, so I'll wait for her before I say something.
Yeah, there are two things.
Please.
Hello, doctor.
Hi.
Also, I just wanted to, I'll take 2 minutes here. At least like Palanji, they are able to speak out and they are able to connect. I'm talking about people, many vaccinations which I have seen in my own neighborhood. Just last month, in our neighborhood in Hyderabad, one whole family of 4 people who are from this Ramnagar Basti, they took the vaccine because they were afraid they will not get their ration. And of the 2 sons and the father and the daughter-in-law. So the 2 sons and the daughter-in-law fell sick immediately the same day, and of which the son and one daughter-in-law, the daughter-in-law got all right in 2 days. And by the time he got well, the father died of a heart, and the one son who was sick, he went into coma. And the last I knew was, I said, you guys need to start filing a petition against this whole nonsense, and you have to seek even a compensation, because these are very poor people. They can't even afford to go to an Apollo or anywhere. And so many such cases that I have come across where they have no voice. They have no voice and nothing. And this is just this record assistant saying that there are lakhs of people and nobody's got a side effect. It is because all these people who are facing the side effects, or who have even died. I know of a boy whose father is a cab driver. He died second day after taking the vaccine of Covishield. On what do you call? He was driving his boss to work to Warangal, and after he dropped him 2 hours after, he was found collapsed inside his vehicle in a different town. He was taken to the hospital, and the next day he died. So there are so many of these issues which are not seeing the light, and I'm requesting as doctors, please, because somebody, and I have seen one very famous gynecologist from Hyderabad talking to people on YouTube saying that, oh, pregnant women can take the vaccine, lactating women can take the vaccine. I don't know. What about the ethics? This is really crazy. Like my Dhobi, for example, her mother-in-law was vaccinated. She got paralyzed 10 days after vaccination. Along with her, 2 other people in the same basti took the vaccines, and one man died the second day, and another neighbor, he had a kidney failure. So there are multiple issues happening because of the vaccines. Problem is that these people don't have access to speak out and to voice their concerns. Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick minute, 1 minute. I mean, these are some of the 7 families we have connected actually. Other 2 are not part of this collage. There are 2 more, 2 more victims are there. So like these are the people with whom the parents should connect. Each of them have a similar sorry story of a shock where a healthy person is given a vaccine thinking it will protect, and they fall sick, and the medical profession is just totally, what shall I say? They just don't know what to do, honestly speaking. There is no protocol when they come, and they don't know how to treat. They do whatever they can just do for 2-3 days, and then the person dies. Same story in different things. And so this is just the 7 families, and Awaken India movement is maintaining a list of thousands of such cases, of which direct vaccine deaths are at least couple of hundred direct vaccine deaths. They are also counting as COVID death, vaccine deaths, those who have got the vaccine and then got COVID and dead. So they are counting that also, and they have, their numbers are now 10,000, but I am discounting them. Vaccine and direct death after vaccine is couple of hundreds. That list is there. With, there was a person of C400 was maintaining it, and now it's maintained by Awaken India movement. There is a list of them. 7 families, we have the direct contact numbers and all medical records. Like how me and Pavan, we have all the information. The other 5 are also there. So this is the sorry state of affairs, and the AFI takes its own sweet time to kind of to do months after this, and it just puts an obscure note in a website with just 1 line. That's it. Not picked by media, not picked by anybody. Nobody knows, even the parents are not informed. We have to go keep looking at the website to see whether it got published or not. So it's really very, very sorry state. And the worst part is it is still continuing today. That is the biggest problem. I mean, if this is stopped and it is over, we can actually at least give it a closure. Like, okay, this happened, and we were the unfortunate victims, and we lived in a time where like everything worked against us, something like that. But the problem is it is still happening, and I feel responsible. Like, having gone through this, somehow I believe I am partly responsible. Like, now I somehow stop this, but I don't know how to stop this. Like, I just raise a bit of noise in Twitter, and whichever forum I get like this, I speak. Other than that, I really don't know what to do. And we and Pavan family, we have put together a petition in Supreme Court, which is yet to be listed. We worked with AIM, and they helped us to file a case, but that is just in that case. We have just, it's in the filed stage. It's not been taken up for hearing at all. So I don't know what more we can do. We are kind of helpless, but we want to really stop this. I don't know what to do, but.
Yeah, to add to that, we finally got our AAFI report for all our RTS. Finally, our RTA got replied, and they did state that, Ritu's death was directly related to product, which is vaccine.
Yeah, one.
But still, the state level officers, they keep telling me stories. They think, we are idiots, and said, oh, when I asked for investigation report, they said, oh, it has to go to the central, and then after we'll have a meeting, and then we'll give back. They think we're all like, don't know anything, while central government already declared and published, and these people keep telling stories. And that central government report is so obscure, like you said, you have to do some guesswork to find out that particular line belongs to our family. And that's correct. What their local officers were trying to avoid. But finally, I got my CRF, which actually links Ritu's name to that line, which at least I have some proof, if I have to go against somebody legally, anything. But I just wanted to update about it.
Yeah, Pradeep wants to talk about. Pradeep is a naturopath, has done a lot of work on trying to do a research kind of thing, and he's into medical writings and all that. And Pradeep, welcome, Pradeep. He has conducted something, vaccine reactions and all that. One of the seminars, I was also there, and I could see a young person coming out and talking about vaccines and all that. Really privileged to have you, Pradeep, here. And he's a naturopath, but he talks from his heart. Tell me, Pradeep, what are you?
Thank you, sir, for that warm introduction. And this, we are so sentimental about this particular thing. Recently, one paper which I have just published and shared in the group, vaccination should be a force or it should be by choice. So that was ridiculed by the so-called scientists in a group, saying that it is unfortunately my PhD was linked to that particular university. So I have to withdraw my paper from that particular group. I was kind of indirectly threatened. So seeing these things, since we have the 7 families with us who has those particular reports